days a week accomplish an assignment which is fair, and the one who needs 2 days or even a few hours to accomplish an assignment can understand the balance. So that's one of the benefits of this training. It's competence, it's such kind of benefits. So we're going to spend here together the next 6 days. As you have seen from the agenda, our trainings already start in the morning at 9 a.m. sharp, and we close at 4 p.m. Have breaks in between, the lunch break and the in-between breaks as we see fit or needed, but that's how we do it. Intensive and practical. This is a professional training. This lecturing, much of practice. That's how we do it. So I would like to introduce to you our team. We have, as we are learning, our trainer is done by the ability there. We're going to introduce himself a little more. And then as he trains, he has those we call assistant or facilitator. So when you are learning, when we are in this training, we don't expect anyone. Unless they need to test, and when it is the test, you better not come here. Do not be stuck. When you get stuck, Ranchal is here, Fabrice is here, people are going to open applications. So if anytime we face any challenge in any assignment, any exercise, any question you are working on, you as we train, as you raise up your hand and they are going to approach you and support you to solve the issue as we keep on moving. So during the training, we don't really expect any starts or sleeping club. We expect each and every night. By the end of the day, you also should be hot because of being open throughout the whole day. But it's an interesting training. Also on the WhatsApp group, we gave a link of the Google Classroom. I hope all of you have already joined the Google Classroom. It's in the WhatsApp group. So that Google Classroom is where all official communications are given. Things like training materials, the slides and notes are going to be uploaded on the Google Classroom. The exercises, the assignments are going to be posted on the Google Classroom, not in the WhatsApp. Right? And when you work on the assignment, also submit to the Google Classroom. You don't send it any email, you submit through the system. Also, the review is done, and the grading is done. I hope that's clear. Yes, please.
Maybe if it's from a sample during administration, then there's other previous indications that you have because the link I've seen is for moving video.
Okay, I'm going to tell Fabrice to share the Google Classroom. Yeah. Also, another thing is, okay, that Google Classroom is the system that helps us to access the materials even after the training, during the training, and even after the training. Also, when we are learning in this class, the training is being recorded. For the purpose of when you need that record, you have access to the videos and go back to it. And
I open my mic.
Pardon?
I opened my mic.
And then here.
Yes.
I'm going to complete that fast. Give me my survey.
Hello. Hello. There is no sound.
Can you hear me now? So
Yeah. Thank you. All right.
I'm saying the certificates are not provided for participation. For participation, they are of merit. The melt, I mean the final assignment, the final capstone project that we work on after we completed the training. That's what is going to qualify everyone for the certificate. That's in every communication that we have provided, every communication. So please remember, at the end of the training, we are going to go home with a final capstone project to work on. And that final capstone project to work on is delivered within 2 weeks after the training. And that's what the trainer reviews and gives feedback. And those who will 65% and above give the certificate. And those who don't reach that standard are required to repeat the assignment until it reaches the standard. Because this assignment, in our thinking or our approach to learning, is supposed to be a proof of knowledge, skill. Everyone can have or provide a certificate. But when someone asks you if you know something, you can give. I am employing, and one shows me a certificate, and the other one shows me a process, a real project that they worked on. I'm more confident in the person with a project than the person with a certificate. And that's how we prove the skills that we have. So please, there are people whom we correct at the end of the training when they expect automatically get a certificate, but we don't work in that way. Yeah. So before I give up the floor to our lead trainer, if anyone has any questions, maybe you can ask. And if you don't ask right now, we can talk in the break or any other time to address any challenges that you might have. Right? Okay. This Dan is our lead trainer in artificial intelligence. He's going to introduce his background for us to know him, as well as we start knowing each other. Since we are going to be together for this long. Yeah, thank you so much. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Gabriela. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Can people online hear me? Can anyone from online hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Can anyone from Can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Hello?
yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks everyone once again. As Mr. Bennett has mentioned, my names are Dan Majambere, and we'll be together for the next 3 weekends, where we will be learning this fancy thingy called AI, but specifically for project management. Aren't you people excited about AI? Okay. I hope everyone, so we will be, as you've been told, we'll be doing this both from online. We have an online audience, as well as we who are here physically, right? So everyone had expectations, right? Everyone has expectations as they've come here, okay? And we will try to deliver on those expectations. So we've been doing this training. I think this is the second AI project.
Yes.
Yeah. So people have been pleased by such a training, and we've got feedback from everyone who attended the last training that it was a very helpful training. Even so, it was helpful in their day-to-day work. That's why we've brought it back, so that even people who were not able to benefit from the last training will be able to get the training. And we believe that we will try to deliver your expectations, right? So generally what we do, of course, we've got feedback from the last training, and we will try to incorporate that into this training. But generally what we do is, as Mr. Benon has mentioned, what differentiates these trainings from other trainings is it's very practical, and also we try to be as helpful as possible, right? So please make sure that you leverage us, right? So make sure you use me, you use Benon, you use Fabrice, you use everyone that will be helpful. For myself, within the next 3 weeks, so we usually come here for the weekends, but even within the week, feel free to ask me about anything, right? About AI, about anything that you want to understand, about any tool. So we'll be covering here a few tools, right? So I want to say, feel free to ask. Okay, welcome everyone who is here. So I hope everyone from online is able to hear us. And just in case you have any question, please don't worry. I might not see it immediately, but there are people who will be helping you as co-facilitators. So don't worry. Feel free to ask any question even when you're online. You can interrupt me if I didn't see your message, or you can even text in chat. There'll be someone who will help you. So I want us to be on the same page, right? So first of all, Benon has already, I would say, just said my names, right? So I'm going to talk about a little bit about myself, but the training is not about me, right? So I'll just rush it. I just to make sure that I'm no longer a stranger. And one thing I love about these trainings is the networking part is mentioned, right? So as I'll be facilitating this training, but we also want to connect. We always want our classes to connect. So usually, whenever we do trainings like this, we end up connecting, and even, everyone here has something that they do, right? So even after the classroom, we meet and talk about what we do and help each other. So there are very many people who have been in trainings that have helped me a lot in my career, and we met in these trainings, right? So it's about learning, but it's also about networking. So that's why I want to talk about a little bit, just for 1 minute, about myself. The training is not about myself, so I'll just spend 1 minute so that I'm no longer a stranger to you. First of all, by profession, I'm a data engineer. Who knows what data engineers do? Does anyone know what data engineers do? So we have electrical engineers, we have civil engineers. We are used to civil engineers, right? Software engineers, right? So this is like a software engineer of data. We are here in AI, right? So data has become, people say data is the new gold, right? So there has been, just like there is civil engineering, there has been data engineering. So what do data engineers do? Or what do I do as a profession? Data engineers make sure that everything is, even the AI tools that you use, we make sure that the data engineers in those companies make sure that those tools get data, because AI is all about data, right? Once it has good data, it performs well. Once it has bad data, it just doesn't perform well, right? So the data engineers collect raw data from everywhere that is very disorganized, organize them, and then make sure that they are used, the data is used where it's supposed to be used. It could be in AI, it could be just in dashboards for management, depends on where you do, right? Where you work, sorry. So although I'm a data engineer, I'm also an M&E professional, leveraging my data skills. So I was interested in project management, but something that involves data, and I had to professionalize myself in monitoring and evaluation of projects. So I'm a certified M&E professional, and I also do M&E for projects, right? So I also have a master's degree in IT, specifically machine learning. We'll see what machine learning is, but it's in a few words, it's a subfield of AI. So today we'll be talking about AI, right? Also, I have a few other hobbies. That's not me, but I love jogging, right? So I love jogging. That's my sport. I'm lazy, but at least I try jogging, and that helps me to be fit. Secondly, I love writing, okay? So I love writing, and I usually publish a few of my writings on Medium, if you know that platform, and you can search by my name. I have a few articles there. So if I'm not working and I'm not running and I'm not writing, so here is the data thing. So everything regarding with data and running and writing, also football. I also love Premier League, nothing else, right? I won't say what club I support because it could bring special conversations. Yeah, but let's. If I say number 2, maybe you will have a clue about what club I support in the Premier League. Right? So that's all about, not all about myself, but this is enough for anyone to at least feel like I'm no longer a stranger, right? Yeah, so in this training, this course will distinguish you from everyone of your colleagues that just hears AI. And trust me, you will see it, right? So AI has become a buzzword. Everyone says AI, right? Everyone says, okay, ChatGPT, you know, and everyone feels like they know AI, right? But to be honest, a few people know, even have a clue about AI, right? Even as consumers, well, it's not about development of AI, but even as consumers, many people think that they know AI, but we do not know. And fundamentally about everything in life or every topic, any science or whatever, you need to have at least an understanding, a basic understanding of how anything works. And after that, you can use it properly. So in this class, you will, after this training, you will be, I would say, different from all your colleagues who have not attended this training, or some other. Of course, we are not the only trainers in this world who talk about AI, right? But if they've never attended an AI training, they'll think that they know AI, but you will feel like you are totally different, and you will understand what AI is. Okay? So what this means is, if you use something like ChatGPT, or if you see anything that uses AI, any tool, you will have an understanding of how to use it, because you have a basic understanding of what AI is. And today, that is what we will be focusing on. In today's class, we'll focus on, it might be a bit boring, but the fundamentals are always good, right? So today we are going to make sure that you have a high-level overview or understanding of what AI is, right? Especially generative AI, because in project management or at the consumer side, we usually use generative AI. Okay? So we will know what generative AI is, but in the nutshell, it's ChatGPT or large language models that we use. So today we will have just a basic understanding of what AI is, right? So this is what we will be learning in this training, basically. And I've mentioned everything. So we have a few verbs to note in this training, right? So this might be an intensive training, right? Because it's a lot of practicals, some boring, others interesting, but we will make sure that you understand and get out of this training well equipped. So it will be a very good value for your time and for your money. The second thing, of course, it will be practical after understanding the basics. So we'll make sure that you first understand the basics, right? Another important, very important thing, right, is I would say a very important thing is feel free to ask any questions. In fact, ask a lot of questions, right? Ask whatever question you see. You might feel that it's stupid or what, just ask the question. And we do not have all the answers, but we will try. And if we do not have the answers, we will document ourselves. But ask any question, whether challenging, whether you feel like it's a small question, just ask it, because by asking, you get answers, right? So the medium of communication is English, right? Because we have people from different backgrounds, right? But generally, the medium of communication should be English. However, we provide room for Kinyarwanda, which is need-based. For instance, I'm Rwandese. I understand pretty much of Kinyarwanda. So if you feel like it's hard for you to ask a question in English, feel free to ask it in Kinyarwanda. We will accommodate that. And that's perfectly fine. And also, bear with us if you do not understand Kinyarwanda. I will have to explain a few things in Kinyarwanda so that we make things clear. But also, if you don't understand Rwanda, I believe that I'm pretty good at English, and I'm able to explain everything in English, right? Yes.
Only in Rwanda in English.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I'm not very good at French or any other language, right? Sorry? French. No. I'm not so bad, but I'm not so good, right? So I might not express myself well in French, right? Yeah. So there are a few tools that we'll be using in this class, right? So we will be setting up a few tools. So one tool, we have these three tools that we will be using. Okay. We have a tool called Kahoot. Has anyone ever heard about Kahoot? So Kahoot. So Kahoot is basically it's a game-based quiz platform. So we usually do our quizzes. I'll show you this. I'll help you set up everything. For facilitators will help you. So we do quizzes, in-class quizzes, which are not graded, but just to freshen up our thoughts, right? And to make the class more engaging. So we'll be having a few quizzes. Even today we'll have a quiz after the class. So we use that tool called Kahoot. I'll show you how it works when we reach there, right? And we also have another one called Slido. So Slido is basically for short surveys, okay? Just to also make the class more engaging, I will immediately show you how Slido works because we are going to use it right now. So Google Classroom, I hope everyone is enrolled in the classroom because that is where we'll be sharing material. So I'll be sharing the PPT I'll be presenting also other learning materials, right? To help you understand more about what we'll be covering here. So everything, even assignments, will be posted on Google Classroom. So make sure that you are enrolled. So does anyone have any questions before we embark on the training? Any questions? Again, the number one important thing is ask questions, right? Because, for instance, you will see in the introduction of AI, I'm going to talk about a few things that you might find maybe not familiar to you, but I want to make sure that you understand what AI is before you use it, okay? Before we learn how to use it. So I will show you fundamentally what AI is. And so make sure you ask even, I would say, what you think is the silly question, because usually AI is like 90% mathematics, but we are not doing math here, right? So even if you ask a math, I won't say I'm perfect at math, but at least with the basics, you can as well ask any math or whatever question. So without further ado, I'm going to present. We are going to start. So I'm going to share for online users. So we're going to do an introduction to an introduction on generative AI, right? So we've heard of ChatGPT, right? It's a common thingy, right? But there are a lot of other AIs, and we know, I believe everyone knows about AI as a buzzword, right? So you will also inform me on a few things about AI. So there are very many tools. Tools are created every day. So I do not know a lot of tools, AI, but at least we can understand what is common in all those AI tools. And most of the things that we use are generative AI. So to make things clear, not all AI is generative AI. Not all AI is ChatGPT. Not all AI is Gemini. Not all AI is the language. So there is, AI is huge, right? It's a huge thing. So first of all, to help you know about the tools that we'll be using, we are going to see one of the tools called Slido, and I will launch something. Can everyone go to this website called slido.com? So for people online,
There's a link in the WhatsApp group. Just follow the link.
wait, what? Okay. So go to slido.com, right? And I'll give you a code. So how it usually works is you are given a code and you enter that code, right? So you will join as a participant. I'm going to show you a code. And once you get the code, you will get access to whatever content that I put on the platform, right? So there is a simple question. It's just for you to get familiar with the platform, because it will be important for this training, right? So I've already launched something. So I'm going to present it. Yeah. So use this code, okay? Enter this code in the interface that you saw. You will immediately see the question, and I still presented it. So here I am presenting it as a word cloud. So how a word cloud works is, once you add your input, you will see everyone's input there. It will be populated on the screen. So it can also do graphs, it can also do a lot of things.
Morning.
So please, the question is, what comes to your mind when you hear AI? Just share with us, when you hear AI, what comes to your mind? You can still use your phone, right?
Yes.
You can put internet on your phone.
Yeah, the phone is okay.
Yeah, the phone is actually faster, so you can use your phone, right? Yeah, you can see someone saying making things easy, efficiency. Perfect. Yeah. Someone enter their code. Machine learning. Interesting. Sixteen people have responded so far. Yes. Machines, code, hey. Okay, perfect. 25 people have responded so far. So let's see what people think of AI. Okay. So the way the one cloud works is the bigger the thing means it has been mentioned more frequently, right? So many people have responded artificial intelligence. So when you hear AI, many people hear artificial intelligence. Others hear machine learning. Interesting. That's okay. Who responded machine learning here? Okay. Can you please tell us one thing about machine learning? Anything. Anything. You can just say ML or whatever, or maybe if you know specifics about ML. Sorry? You're going to? Yeah. Not right.
uburyo dukoresha amashuri gusubiza
uburyo bwo gukoresha machine
dukora amashuri dukoresha na software.
Yeah. So machine learning we aravuga ko ari uburyo bwo gukoresha imashini ibyo ushaka kugira ngo ikaguhe ibisubizo. Right? So she basically has said machine learning is about giving a machine what you want, and input will give you an output. Anyone else? Yes, you mentioned machine learning, right?
And also explaining it.
Yeah.
Kwifashisha nk'uburyo bwo koroshya twakabaye dukoresha kwifashisha amashini kugira ngo byinshi twari gukora n'intoki zihute.
So machine learning is efficiency, right? And by the way, that's correct. Because as I said, AI is a huge field. And things like ChatGPT, or what we call generative AI, is part of AI, we will see. And under AI, there is machine learning. So generative AI is part of machine learning, right? So machine learning is also a huge subfield of AI, including where we find generative AI, right? So we'll see. Anyone from online who can tell us what they think of AI? From online? Do people online hear us? Please confirm whether they hear us. So,
hello,
people,
can I try?
yes, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, an intelligence in non-human being. You know, materials are thinking like a human.
Sorry?
Like machines are thinking like a human being.
Oh, perfect. So they say AI is about machines thinking like humans. That's basically a layman definition, and it's very correct, right? When you hear AI, just think of a machine acting like a human being. So can you guess what part of a human being AI replicates? Is it your hand?
The brain.
It's the brain, right? So developers of AI, they try to mimic the way our brains work. So that's literally AI. So we are going to see, thank you. We are going to see a few things about all that to help us understand what AI is. So an introduction to generative AI.
I have a question.
Yes.
You at the start you were saying that there's flavors AI. Maybe it breaks genuine whatever. So all of them they give different information. So once I say maybe a machine that can think maybe in terms like in the case of human, but it depends on the information you have.
Exactly.
So maybe once it's AI, need of understanding, is it really a system or is someone behind who is giving the information? Or
Yeah, good question. So he has said, usually how the way you use AI is you give it an input, right? And that's something that we are actually going to see. Prompting. You prompt it and it gives you information, right? So he's asking, does it really know things or you give it information? So first of all, the definitions that they've given are correct. AI tries to mimic people. Even a human being, when you grow, when you're a kid, the environment you grow in, you respond to that environment, right? The words that you're told, the way you were basically raised up, you tend to become just like that. So even AI, the words you're told, the way you're treated, you end up becoming like that. So even AI tries to adapt to its environment, and also he has said it perfectly. AI works. It is used by people, right? So you give it a prompt, and so generative AI basically, you give it a prompt and it gives you an answer. So to answer his question, AI tries to mimic a human brain, but we also make sure that we give it the right information to get the right information, right? And we will see all that. So today we're going to, in this part, we're going to see, understand what generative AI is. So a few things about basically AI. Sorry. So what is AI? We've mentioned that. So people have talked about artificial intelligence, machine learning, efficiency, and they're all correct. AI helps us to be efficient in our work, which will be as learning. So, but I'm going to give a broader definition of AI from Wikipedia. So this is huge, right? But it's fine. I'm going to define to make sure we understand them. So artificial intelligence or AI, I got this from Wikipedia, and I think it's a good definition. It's the capability of computational systems. Now we are going to perform tasks typically associated with human intelligence, right? So there is intelligence in it, such as learning, just like a person, you learn, you reason, and you problem solve. You have perception of things, the way you take things, okay? So what it means is the way I see things is not the way he sees things, right? And that's AI. It is a field of research, okay? So I love this definition because it now shows you that AI is not just one thing. It's a field, right? It's a field of research. It's not a tool, okay? So of research in computer science that okay, that involve and studies method of software that enables machines to perceive their environment and use learning and intelligence to take actions that maximize their chances of achieving defined goals. Okay, so keywords here. I'm going to highlight a few keywords here. The first one is intelligence, human intelligence, learning, and also maximize their chances. That means they are not perfect. People develop them to maximize chances of achieving defined goals. So you set a goal, and just like human beings, basically, whenever you set a goal, it doesn't mean that you perfectly achieve it, right? So after you set the goal, you say, I will achieve this by the end of this, maybe of today. So what you do, you just, at the end of the day, you evaluate yourself and see. Maybe you're 90%, you've 90% achieved it, or maybe 20%, or even 0%, right? Even AI is how it works. It's not perfect, basically, and it's intelligence. So it's a machine that mimics a human being, right? You give it, you give it information, and it gives you another information. So under AI, I will show you how. So you might ask yourself, if I click the keyboard and it gives me, if I click letter K on the keyboard and I see K, is that AI? No, that's not AI, right? Because there is no reasoning. How AI works is, if you give it, maybe if my name is Dan, right? If my name is Dan, if you click, so in traditional or classical software development, or I would say intelligence is, you click, let's say you explicitly program. So the way they develop things is they program things and you put it into a machine. It does not learn. There is no learning. You have to say this is D, this is A, this is A. But how does AI work? Contrary to giving it DAN, AI says, once you give me D and N, I'll know that an N is next, right? It predicts basically, based on the data or the information that you already gave it before. Just like a kid. You remember when a young kid, when they do not know what fire is, they can come and touch it. But once they touch it and feel it, they'll never touch it again, right? So next time they know this is even something that looks like fire, they won't touch it, right? So that is learning. So that is how AI works. Maybe I will show you. So machine learning is a field of study in artificial intelligence, right? This one might be a bit, well, it's not so hard, but I want us to understand these things because, as we mentioned, one of the targets is you will get out of this training totally different from what most people know, because most people really they do not know what AI is, other than saying, well, they know the uses of AI, but they do not know what AI is. So machine learning is a field of study in AI. So we have, as you've seen, we have AI, and inside AI, we have machine learning. Even inside machine learning, we have a few things, including, so here, this is where ChatGPT comes. And there are other things here, right? So machine learning basically is give a machine and let it learn without explicitly programming it. Okay. So before machine learning, how people did is you would sit and write like 100, 200 lines of code to make sure that you generate one thing, maybe one image of a cat. And it's specifically one cat, not all cats. But with AI, it learns, you give it images of cats, and it can tell you whether this is a cat or not, because it has learned. So I'm going to show you a few things. So there is AI versus machine learning. So AI is basically a discipline. It's a research area. So AI is not a tool. Do we agree? So who thought AI is a tool? I thought we all thought that AI is a tool.
Yeah.
Right? ChatGPT, well, we say it's AI, but AI basically is an area of research.
Actually, it's because maybe it's associated with but AI is not recent. It was even there before.
Right.
Because even the ATMs we use at the bank, I think they are part of artificial intelligence. The robots, they are part of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, great.
But now it has been narrowed to ChatGPT. But the field was there.
Right. Actually, AI, even in the 1930s, AI was there. Even in the 1980s. So what happened in the 1930s? People knew about AI. People knew about what we said we will see neural networks. But because it was a field of research, many investors were not convinced about the return on investment. So it literally died, but the discipline was there, the research was being done. Now that people have started investing in it, that's why we know ChatGPT. But it's as just mentioned, AI has been there all along. Okay, so it's a discipline. It's not one tool. It's not some tool. It's an area of research, just like physics. Physics is not a tool. Physics is not a force. Physics is a discipline, right? Math is a discipline. Economics, so AI is a research area. It's not a tool, right? So machine learning is a subset of AI. Under AI, there are a lot of things, but machine learning is the most common. So there's also under machine learning, there's what we call deep learning. So I'm going to show you this.
Yeah, I have a question. See that AI is discipline. So my question is, in which percentage AI will be discipline?
Sorry?
In which form? Because you say that AI is a discipline. In which form amount AI began be discipline in terms of project? I'm saying AI is a discipline. Yeah. So in which form or in which category AI began discipline when it comes to project?
Oh, when
In which way AI becomes a discipline when it comes to projects? Yes.
Yeah. So that is an application of the discipline, right? So AI, as in the bigger picture, is a discipline. So by a discipline, we mean it's an area of research, right? So what we see is application of AI. In project management, we'll see how we use that discipline. Just like in math is a discipline, but we use math in a lot of areas, right? Including calculators, budgeting, things like that, right? So even AI as a discipline, I am going to narrow it down, right? From the high level discipline thing to the applications, to the tools. And that is where project management comes in. So we'll see the tools, but I wanted you to understand that AI, the tools we'll be using in project management is not AI. They are applications of AI, right? Understood? Okay. So AI is an area of research. Under AI, there's something called machine learning definition. So what machine learning is you give a machine learns, it adapts. So how does it work? You give a machine an input. So in math, I think we are all familiar with this, right? I'm not trying to scare you, but we are all familiar with this. Math as a discipline, basically everything about AI is a function. You give it an input. So this is the fx. So this is the x. This is the fx, what the machine does. And this is the output, right? So in the output, as we've seen, it tries to make sure that it increases chances of it being correct. So you have an ideal output, right? But also, it doesn't mean that it's 100% correct. I do not want to scare you with the math, but basically, you give it an input, it gives you an output in basic math. So where machine learning comes in is inside here, this is a machine. So what people call models. Even ChatGPT, by the way, is just a product of some model called GPTs. So inside ChatGPT, there is something like this, right? So how it works is it learns, you give it data. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few things. Okay, so when you give a machine something, it continues to learn. So you basically give it data. I hope this can be. As I said, today's session might be a bit intensive, but I'm sure it helps you understand what AI is, right? So who works in banking here? Does anyone work in banking? You work in banking. In credits, okay. Can you tell us more about what you do in banking?
Recovery.
Loan recovery.
Loan recovery.
Perfect. I'm going to show you how machine learning works in loan recovery. And you will see that is what. In loan recovery, I'm not a banking person, but at least I know that when a bank gives people loans, right? Some people repay the loans, others default, right? And you have a database of people who have defaulted. And I believe those are the people you always run after, right? You invest a lot of money trying to, okay? So, but when you leverage math or machine learning, you can actually, that work can be very easy. I hope even your bank does that, okay? So you can say that done based on their profile, before you give them money, is highly likely to default. Or they can easily pay, right? How do you know that even in basic reasoning? If I do not have a job, how will I pay? Okay, but it goes beyond. So in that, you give it data, let's say data points. So when you're trying to recover loans, what things do you consider? Or when you're going to give someone a loan, can you tell us more about what things you consider? Sorry? Repayment
Capacity.
Repayment capacity. So how do you define repayment capacity? Okay, you have a job,
A business.
you have a business, collateral.
Will to
Will.
How can you measure the
Let me explain.
Yeah.
If somebody has been paying for almost 10 years, in the bank, the person is likely to have a high repayment capacity.
I think
And he has
that's
not defaulted.
history, right?
Yeah. But also the bank consider that.
Yes,
Yeah, in giving them.
exactly. That's perfectly what machine learning does.
Yeah.
Okay. It takes historical data. You give it. So the more you have, you can see. Why I asked a lot of this is the more you have, the more information you have about someone, the more likely you know whether they will pay or not pay.
Yeah.
For instance, have they defaulted in the past? What caused them? Maybe they defaulted, but maybe they had a huge problem that is very rare, right? So you cannot say they will continue defaulting because maybe there was a very huge problem, right? So you collect all these data points. So you can see when we started, I said people say data is gold, is the new gold, because the more data you give a model, the more it learns. Of course, you do not give it a lot of information, you will see. There is something called overfitting. It's like Bukopeza, you know? You give someone all information and you think they know it. So they go in an exam, you give them a different question, they get 0. So that even machines, that's how you do not, so there are ways that you optimize it so that you do not give it a lot of information. So what you do is you give it information about so you have a database of your customers, right? So customer name, maybe done.
You can also add account movement.
Okay,
on
right.
the repayment
So now you
capacity.
see we have a lot of
Account
data
movement.
points. Okay.
Yes.
So you end up having something in your database that is so huge. And at the end of here, you get a Y. The Y is the output. How do you say, so here, what could be our output in terms of defaulting? The output is, have they defaulted? So you can say default, not default, because that is what you're interested in. This is the output. So you can see this person with all this information, historically, they once defaulted. This other person with all this, historically, they repaid their loan. So you have everything here. Then you give the machine this information. So maybe they have an age, maybe 20, then they are male, because at times when you see, you can see patterns. Maybe males under the age of 20 do not pay their loans, right? So this is what the machine learns.
Even those who are going for retirement.
You
need
see?
also to analyze.
Yeah, so in analytics, you get all that information. So usually when you're a person, you sit and do all those maybe in an Excel file or something like that if you're trying to. But machine learning, we've seen people say efficiency. So what you do, you no longer do that. Instead, you use a machine learning. So there are very many models. We are not here to learn about machine learning, but I wanted to show you that what you do, you give it this information. Then the next time you come and ask it. So you've given it, done, maybe defaulted, yes. This one, no, yes. Yes means they defaulted, okay? So after it has learned, you give it, that is where the learning comes. You give it some new customer, totally new. And you give it their age, their information, and it tells you this person is highly likely to default. And it gives you, it says 80% will default. So what you do, the system automatically rejects their loan request. So you no longer have to say, okay, you vet, no. That is how a machine learns. So they are not perfect, but the good thing is they can be evaluated and they can be retrained, or they can learn over time to the extent that maybe usually 85% is acceptable, because you can, even if you give me a model of 100% accuracy, I'll just challenge you and say that model is not correct. Any questions so far? Do we understand? Do you have a picture of what machine learning is? You give a machine data. Maybe we will use some other sector. I show you how the discipline that my brother said comes to everything that we do. Okay, so in banking, we've seen an example. Maybe one person and someone else will tell us what they do, and I will show you how AI or machine learning works in their field. Yes, Bernard.
I was about to say, as the data points that you're saying becomes a way that the machine analyzes the information and it identifies patterns. There is a reason as to why banks don't lend to people who are in 60s, I think. When you're not a huge business person, like an employee of a certain company, but you depend on your salary, there is an age you reach and they refuse to give you a loan.
Yeah.
How do they reach to that conclusion? It's not from the air. There is analysis, there is history that has led them to realize that if someone is depending on a salary at this age, there is a high likelihood of defaulting on a loan.
Right.
Or maybe, for example, the life expectancy of Rwandans. What is the age? 60?
I think it's 60 something.
64 for men. So when a man is 64 and they go to request for a loan, mathematically, statistically, they are almost statistically they are very old that anytime they might die without paying the loan. So there's a lot of things, there's a lot of information that the machines get and they create patterns which helps in decision making. That's what I think.
That's correct. But one thing I like about data is when someone says, okay, someone over the age of 65 will not be able to pay loan because they are old and they are approaching retirement. As a data guy, I'll just say, prove that that's correct, right? Maybe you're assuming because there is the sentimental part of humans, right? Maybe people over 60, they have their retirement package which they can use as collateral and it's enough, maybe based on where they work. Okay, so what data brings here is you have your not just sentiments, you have your reasoning, but the machine also helps you to reason. And maybe it confirms your reasoning, or maybe it does not confirm your reasoning, but it shows you proof, right? So basically, that is how they are. So we are going to see who else works in some other sector.
Okay, we can even say it similarly that they give evidence or maybe facts that can be the base of making decisions. But they are not the decision makers.
Yeah.
Actually, yesterday I was reading something where they are saying we should not allow AI to make decisions. Because sometimes you can put, can you tell me what decision maybe I'm going to make for my organization? They will give you maybe a list of 10, but we should not rely on, we are human. That's why we are different from machines. Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we also see there is part of ethics in AI. We'll mention all that after we learn. So we'll first have the excitement of learning AI. Then after that, we will show you how the ethical part of using AI, including not allowing it to take decisions, because sometimes AI is biased. We will see. Question.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted you to talk about the question for better than using the tool.
I'm not using the tool.
Just for the
Oh,
I just want you to talk a little bit about the deployments, because you are saying you are feeding the machine. So how sure are you that some of the confidential information cannot be disclosed by that machine?
Very good question. Okay, but I have an answer to that, right? And we will talk about that in the ethical parts of AI. Right? And okay,
If you allow me, I can simply answer in a simple. Okay, I'm not maybe a technician in AI, but I can simply answer the question. Yeah. If you think that you have sensitive information, it's good maybe to develop your AI so that you are able to control and make sure that your information are kept in your organization without being shared by anybody.
yeah,
Thank you. That's one of the
Yeah,
solutions.
but I'm asking from the user perspective. So basically, we are talking about application of AI. So basically, I said I don't want to know how the AI is generated, how the AI is formed. I'm just a simple user, you see.
For example, if we use this chat GPT, do you think your information are protected now? They are shared because you don't know where they are controlling this information from. That's why we need to be careful when using the AIs that we do not control. For example, if you use maybe, if you want maybe to, for example, in our organization, we use just Copilot because they pay for it and you have an account. Maybe if something happened, they will just do investigation and then the Microsoft is responsible of what happened. But using ChatGPT, your information will be shared and then there is no privacy.
yeah. So maybe
Or maybe there is
Yeah.
something that
Yeah, I wanted to answer.
Okay, sorry for
Just say,
Mm.
in order to protect the data, maybe a good practice is like, if I want to ask for something, I'm not going to feed in the exact data that I have, but some similar data that will give me like a pitch, something that I want. Then after getting that picture, then that's when I will enter the exact data that I have, that like in form of a template or something. Like another mistake people do, it's like when you get like a document, maybe it's an organization document, and you want to fit it into the maybe ChatGPT, and you want it to generate a person that same document. So if given it your data, and you never know where it's going to give it, because even when you ask something from ChatGPT, this artificial intelligence we are talking about, it gets that data from the internet. So it picks something from somewhere, another thing from somewhere, somebody said, then it combines and then it processes it and then it brings you the output that you wanted. So I would say the best thing to protect the data is not giving it the exact data. Just give single data to give you a picture that you have. I mean, a picture that you want, because you already have in mind something you want.
okay, yeah, perfect. So you see these conversations now, it's starting to be interesting, right? So this is why I want us to do the groundwork. Someone learning. We want us to do the groundwork because I want us to understand that AI is not what we just input, and it will help you whenever you use AI. We will see how to use AI responsibly. You always think that whenever you keep something, you understand that whenever you write something, there is some server, there is someone's computer where it's stored, right? That is basically how it works. So the information, for instance, the question you ask about security. So as AI evolves, there are laws. So there is what we call shared responsibility, a shared responsibility model. How do they do that? As the developers, they have their responsibility in terms of security. But also as users, we have our responsibilities. So there are things that you can do and you'll be responsible for them. For instance, if you upload a document and someone else sees maybe your company data or some medical records of someone. So to regulate that, different organizations have created laws. For instance, we have the data protection and privacy law here in Rwanda. This is for personal data. Okay, so it has a lot of articles you will read and see. So you have to be responsible. For instance, you might do something and then you commit a misconduct and you can see there are fines here. And you won't go and say, I didn't know about this, right? There are a lot of things here. You can actually read this. I'll show you this later. There is some other module. Yeah, I will. Sure. Okay, you see. So I'm going to show you also something else. There has been research. Who knows Reddit? So this is a very good, it's actually a very good community. It's like Twitter, but a bit more, people come and have conversations, right? So eventually I got a DE. Well, this is because this is DE data engineering, because I usually go for DE. So you can see people come and tell their stories here. This website, there is a research that has recently been done, so you can, so most of the AIs, this is the #1 source of AI platforms, of ChatGPT. Why? Because so many people have conversations. So what does that mean? You might ask about how to get a job a DE job, and it does what we call scrapping. It scraps the data, and you can see that in some cases it might come and give you this response when you ask ChatGPT. Okay, yeah, the same or something like this. Why? Because it was trained. So what they do is they scrap the internet, the data. So they come and use other people's conversations from. So this is not the only source, but it was shown that it is the #1 source. It has a lot of conversation. Another source is Twitter. I think they've regulated it, but before it was very open, and people would just come and scrap the data. So you can ask a question, a political question, and it gives you some response from some opposition figure because they posted on Twitter. And you say that is a fact, yet it's not a fact. It's a lie. So we will see all the details, but our main focus today is to understand that AI gets data from somewhere and it learns, and it also gives you the data based on how you ask it. So we'll also see how to talk to it so that you reduce the bias or you refine the output.
Yeah, much as we are sensitive about personal data, allow me to, I think we are going at the negative side of looking at it. There are a lot of benefits. Then you choose what to share and what to not share. Even in the data privacy policy, there are two categories. There is personal data and there is personal sensitive data. When it comes to things like the medical field, the people's health conditions, like if you have access to the database that says people, names and IDs of people, maybe let's say with HIV, yes, and you feed it, you're more like making it public. That's sensitive information. Because if you have access to information like when people are supposed to get treatment, like those who get regular treatments in chronic diseases, that is sensitive information. Then there is also private information, but which is not sensitive, like pictures, people's pictures. It's not sensitive, but there are security cameras all around, and that images are used also in machine learning, but that's not sensitive information. Sensitive information, the pictures become sensitive when they are, let's say, in your private life. That's where it becomes sensitive. So even the law and how it categorizes, there's sensitive information, but then there's personal information or private information. But at the same time, AI is more effective when you give it some data to base on. So,
And who determines that it's private?
So
what I call private might not be private to another person. Maybe, okay.
No, that's a very good
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Because if you read that the Rwanda, because even Europe has their definition of private,
Right.
even Rwanda. So once you read there, in that article, there is where they call what they call a subject, a data subject. But when you read about privacy and who a data subject is, you can understand in the Rwandan context, what, yeah. So it depends on context. But let's not worry about privacy now. We will look into it later. Let's just focus on how AI works, right? And after that, now at least you have an understanding of how AI works. You give behind the scenes, they have scrapped data from somewhere, conversations of people, images, whatever, and there have been concerns about AI. For instance, the satellite images, right? People, I think there is somewhere in Asia where they used AI and they had access to satellite data and they bombed some area. But that is where responsible AI comes. And that is where laws come in, okay? So you cannot say, okay, now I have this information, let me use it irresponsibly. There will be consequences. But for now, let's understand how AI works, the fundamentals of AI. Then we will see the application. Then later at the end of the course, in the last weekend, we'll have all these discussions after at least enjoying the good things of AI, right? Sorry. So in machine learning, as we've seen, so we have become a bit technical, but I love the way now everyone is understanding it. I thought it would be hard, but it's basically, so in machine learning, so we saw an example of loan recovery, right? So in machine learning, so we saw there's machine learning, there's artificial intelligence, machine learning, and there's some other part in machine learning called deep learning. So let me first explain machine learning in a few more detail. That's in machine learning, there are two types of learning. So there are basically two ways in which a machine learns, okay? So one is an example we saw, where you give it data, like in the loan recovery. What if it does not have the prior data? How does it work, right? For instance, if there is an AI that can come here in this room and classify us or create some groups depending on what you need. For instance, you can tell AI, group these people in by their age. You did give it that Dan, who has this height and this have an age of 15. Just like we saw in the loan recovery thing, okay? So there are two ways. There is supervised, and in supervised, you give it what we call labeled data. You give it information. So what you give it labels. For instance, this person has defaulted, this one has not defaulted. So it is labeled. But there's also some other part. I won't spend much time on unsupervised learning because it's a bit complex and it does not literally concern us for now because it's a bit more technical, but I'll show you a simple example. I'm going to use my screen so that even people online can. So with unsupervised, so supervised, we've seen you give it labeled data. I'll show you an example, but basically you say, if it's an image, you tell it that this image is a cat. You give it a lot of cat images. It learns out the features of a cat. It gives you a cat. But sometimes it does not know if this is a cat or it just, so there are a lot of things in a supervised. So one of them is what we call clustering. So it creates clusters, okay? Or groups, okay? A machine can come and learn and say, okay, group these people by age or by gender. And you didn't tell it that this person is a male, this person is female. How will it know? So there are a few techniques on how it actually understands and creates groups. So that is part of it called clustering. It creates clusters based on some groups. But I won't waste a lot of time on this because it's a bit complex. Instead, we'll focus on supervised learning, which is close to what we will see. Okay. So does anyone who can tell us? Okay. Can you tell us which area you work in or you are more close to, so that we give you an example of how AI can be applied, not specifically in project management, but in the sector? Okay, you do. Okay, you do civil engineering. Okay, so I'm trying to think of what civil engineering is. Okay, can you tell us more about what you do in civil engineering? Roads. Okay. Okay. I assume I'm not a civil engineer, right? But at least I assume that before you build, you do a plan, an architecture, whatever, the design, right? And before you do the design, you maybe apply for the permit, right? After and giving it.
Or let's say start with client requirements.
You start with what does the client need, then you talk with the client, then you do the design based on the client needs, then you go to run the house. You do
Also, before you design, you go to site assessment. Because you can design something and then it's not fitting the site.
Correct. So let's do the site assessment, right? Usually, maybe you go there and I don't know what you measure, right?
When you are the concept level, basically it's a visual system. It's really it's the software planning to have a best way of significant is the water actually water lighting on the front. You will have electricity nearby, so basically those are kind of checking that.
Yeah. Correct. So one application of AI that I can think of is in housing. Is I think, for instance, in Rwanda, there are housing plans, strategic plans, and we all know that you cannot, for instance, in Kigali, you cannot build a house anyhow without a permit. So currently, how they do is once they no longer before they used to come and maybe after you build your house, they come and say, hey, you are not allowed to build this house, and maybe they smash it. But now, once you start the foundation, they come to your site and say, what are you doing? Okay. How do they do that? They use machine learning. How? So, but there is part of machine learning which I'm going to explain, and part which is not machine learning. Okay. So what they do is they use satellite imagery, they use remote sensing, and or drones that take pictures. So usually, if you use a drone or a satellite imagery, so satellites have what they call, how do they call the cycle? How often it just, because satellites basically are like the Earth, they rotate around the Earth. So some satellites come weekly, others daily, others, So if it comes weekly and you start a building, maybe after a week you're on the roof. Or a drone, maybe how often does it take pictures? Depending on, of course, they're expensive, right? So what they do is to reduce that cost, they have the pictures. So in classical or traditional way, they would say, okay, tomorrow they come and check. After like a week, they see, oh, there is a new building that is being built here, right? And they come to you. But with AI, it learns patterns, and it actually can do clusters. That is part of this second unsupervised learning. It clusters areas, and it says that this maybe Gisozi is highly likely, people are highly likely to build houses without permits in this area of Kigali. And it knows and it shows the data, and it's actually correct. So that is how they are. Well, it's not a holistic thing, but it's part of things that people use in civil engineering, right? Using remote sensing. So, what is this now? Okay. So let's continue. So I'm still giving you examples of supervised versus unsupervised learning. Okay. So if you see here in supervised learning, you give it a picture of a cat, pictures of cats. So they, again, before people used AI, you would give it, you would program it, give it an image, and it shows that cat. If that cat is called maybe Venom, it will bring it will bring that same cat. Okay. But with AI, you give it a lot of, you feed it a lot of cats, and where AI comes in, so the supervised learning is, it knows that this is a cat, okay? So you give it a lot of images of cats, then how do you use the model, or how do you use the AI? You come and ask it, is this a cat? It is intelligent enough to tell you this is a cat or this is not a cat. That is supervised learning, and it's categorical. So there are very many applications, there are very many concepts, but it can literally tell you this, how you gave it images of cats, but not to overfit. So I told you some concept called overfitting. Basically, what if you give it only images of cats? If you give it a dog, it will not differentiate it from, it's highly likely that it won't say that, it will tell you that this is a cat because it only knows cats. How do you do it? You give it cats, you give it dogs, and you say this is a dog to make sure that it's different from a cat. So next time you bring a cat, it tells, okay, based on these features, this is not a cat, or this is a cat. So you can see, but sometimes you can give it a dog. You see, even a human being, some people might not differentiate between this one and this, right? Maybe if you haven't seen such a dog, right? So even sometimes a cat might be, if this is a black dog and this is a black or dark cat, sometimes it might make a mistake and say, oh, wait, this is a cat. So they are not perfect in actual sense, right? Right, to make sure that it learns, even a human being, okay? Yeah, exactly. You have to give it a lot of information, different. So that is what we call generalization, okay? It has to generalize. It also has to generalize by context. The more it learns, because this is some variety of a dog. Maybe if you give it some Ethiopian or whatever dog, will it know that it's actually a dog, or it will say it's a cat? So the more it learns over time, it actually learns there. So with unsupervised learning, I showed you the clustering. So it doesn't, you don't give it that this is a cat or this is a dog. It just clusters. It does not know, maybe. So how it, with the dog, it can come and say, this is a group of dogs, these in red, and these are cats, right? And it has never seen, usually, it was not told that this is a cat. It just picks the images, learns. There are a lot of complex mathematical models that they use, and it actually learns and says, this is a group of dogs, this is a group of, so you've seen some graphs like this. So with machine learning, they use some algorithms that do the clustering. So let me not go into the details, a lot of details. Instead, at least you understand what machine learning is. So we have AI, the discipline, we have a machine, how you give it data, and it learns, it also generalizes. So a good model, how does a good model, how do you judge a good model is, if you give it one cat and you give it a different cat, it will tell that that is a different cat. If you give it a dog, it will say that that is not a cat. At least it will say that is not a cat, okay? So, okay, now we've seen AI versus machine learning. So AI as a discipline, then we have machine learning as a sub-discipline. Now under machine learning, there's what we call deep. So you remember the definitions you gave me, AI, the human brain, you know. So in this thing called cats and whatever, there is no humanish thing that the brain, we didn't see the brain. Now we are going to see the part that focuses on mimicking the brain. And that is where generative AI comes in. To have AI, machine learning, under machine learning, there's a concept called deep learning. Okay? So what deep learning is this is one of the difficult things. I took a course specifically called deep learning, but you can read there. But my friends, it's 100% mathematics. Imagine doing math and to mimic your brain, the neurons, okay, everything. So how it works is it is a subset of machine learning driven by multi-layered neural networks. So I think if you know the human brain, you know neurons, right? So they took the neurons and then they created what we call neural networks using mathematical models. Then whose design is inspired by the structure of the human brain, like many people are saying, okay? And so deep learning models power most state-of-the-art artificial intelligence, okay? So at least from this lecture, after today, know that AI is not a tool, AI is a discipline. Under AI, there's machine learning, and everything we know about generative AI falls under deep learning. So when we started, people said the human brain, okay? So this is where the human brain comes in. So it mimics the human brain, and so they say from computer vision. So computer vision is basically images. You give a machine images, it learns a lot of patterns. For instance, the satellite imagery I was talking about. So it's not something that you can do with, you take billions or even millions, billions of images, okay? And you give it, for instance, there is a model for Facebook called SAN. SAN. It was trained on, I think, 100 billion of images. So it takes a lot of data, okay? So how does it work? So you can understand that it mimics how a human brain works with neurons, the way neurons respond, okay? So all of us not all of us understand how the neurons work or how the brain works, but at least it learns, it has a few parts that learns, it has a few parts that controls emotions, it has a few parts that controls literally the decision making of the person. So that is deep learning in machines. That is most of us what we know by artificial intelligence, because it creates the natural intelligence, mimics it into machines, right? So how does it work? Okay, don't be worried about this, but it gives the input layer, hidden layers. So these are layers of what we call neural network. A neural network is just the human brain in mathematics, okay? So there is a lot of math here. So the bigger the model, the more the hidden layers. So I won't delay here because it will bore you. So have we understood this part, this thinking, this image, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning, right? The picture, not necessarily the definition, but we can understand that there is AI as a discipline, there's machine learning, then there is deep learning, right? We need a pause. So this is where generative AI comes in.
And deep learning is like the function of the brain. What we are not seeing inside, what is happening in the brain.
Exactly.
I remember when we are learning the cognitive science. Yeah, they told us I read somewhere that the brain function millions and millions times to come with one information and to make a decision. It's like that, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, even robots called there's a field called cognitive robotics. It's exactly like the brain. Okay, so those advanced robots use artificial cognitive reality, right? It's artificial but cognitive, but again, it's reality. So they take, so the information that it uses, the millions of information that it uses before taking a decision, it's the data. So even here, we can, these hidden layers, although we are not talking about the technicalities of
Like
this.
how they process information,
Right.
how the brain process information, how they think.
How they think.
Yeah.
So inside here, these things, there are billions and billions of things that it processes and just gives you the output, just like the brain. Okay. So you can, for instance, like Tesla cars, self-driving vehicles, how do they work? It processes a lot of data to the extent that once it sees someone on the road, it just stops. Okay. Or once it sees a bird, it can say this is a bird, this is not a human being, it continues. Or if it sees traffic lights, it actually sees that that's a traffic light and it's a red, it stops. Just like a human being. Okay. If it sees that there is a lot of traffic, it stops depending on how the congestion is. So that is exactly what happens in that car. Let's not talk about the technicalities, but let's now go back to the theory.
No, it's simple. Sometimes we need to use those simple examples
Yeah.
people can understand. If I tell you to go and switch on that, and then in the middle I tell you, stop, don't switch like that. You see the confusion in the mind. It's what is deep learning maybe. Yeah. The functionality of the memory or the process in the mind. Yeah, that's maybe what we call deep learning. But if information is given clear, the input is clear, and then the information also will come out clearly.
Yes.
It's like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Exactly. Does anyone have a question so far? Anyone have a question? Yes. Yes, sir.
So, thank you. I have a question in terms of the language.
Mhm.
For the question. When you say, machine learning, for example, you have both two categories. Where you get supervised and supervised. But when comes the machine learning? So, do you have also generative machine learning?
Generative machine learning. Okay. Interesting. I'm going to show you. Okay. That's a very good question. So we have deep learning, we have generative machine learning because we have generative AI, right? So first of all, generative AI is part of. We have AI, we have machine learning, and under machine learning we have two categories. We have supervised and unsupervised machine learning. And what deep learning is, it comes now after that. It uses those two categories of machine learning to mimic the human brain. So in deep learning, you can give it labels or you can't because it's a human brain. How the human brain is, usually because it's advanced, it does not know what to expect. Just like my brother said, if you are not well, if your brain does not work well, and someone tells you, go switch off on that light, and immediately tell you stop. If your brain does not process well, or you have some problems with the brain, you will continue and switch it off. Okay, so you see, the deep learning comes under, but it incorporates those two. So do we have generative machine learning? I'm going to show you there is actually something on the next slide that it will help you understand exactly what you asked. Okay, but for now, let's now talk about generative AI. Okay. So generative AI is a subfield of artificial intelligence under deep learning. Okay. So in deep learning, just know that once you see this interface of ChatGPT, you tell it to do this, it processes just like the brain. It brings it. But the data that it deals for us, the human brain, it reacts to the stimuli, right? To light, to feel, to everything. God created. So the reason it's artificial, it's not now God created. Instead, the human being gives it through scraping, the way we saw how they use the data from Reddit or Twitter or somewhere else. Okay, so it processes everything and it gives you to this interface. So here is ChatGPT, here is DeepSeek. There are a lot of things. So generative AI, it uses generative models to produce texts, images, videos, audio, software code, and I think we are all familiar with this now. You give it a text, it gives you a text. You give it a document, it gives you text. You tell it to do some image, it generates an image. Okay. I hope you understand even the way it's very difficult to do that. Imagine describing an image and it just generates that image. And you understand the process that it goes through. So basically, that is generative AI. Okay. Now, at least, if someone asks you ChatGPT, you can understand how it works. Okay. And people say you're using AI. Yes, you're using AI, but I mean, it's literally, it's a very small part of AI. Okay. So generative AI is that part of machine learning that generates text, images, videos, all that. Okay. Because there is some other part. So the question my brother just asked, there are a few things so the one that he has mentioned. So there is discriminative and generative. There are discriminative and generative models, okay? So I was asking, is there generative machine learning, right? There is a subfield called descriptive, discriminative, and generative, okay? So basically, discriminative it describes, it's what we are mentioning. You remember when you give it a cat, brings a cat. When you tell this is a cat, okay? That is discriminative. But generative is you talk to it now. Okay? So for instance, with generative, with discriminative, tell me whether it's a cat or a dog. Okay? You didn't tell it, okay, generate a dog, okay? Okay? But with generative, which we usually do is you talk to it, generate a dog, okay? And you give it should be this color, this size, doing that, and it generates. So this is the part that we usually. So before generative AI, because this is a bit more advanced, before ChatGPT, we've come to know ChatGPT, AI after ChatGPT. But as we said before, people were using AI, people were learning AI, but it wasn't as advanced as it is. So basically, we are concentrated on generative AI. But now we are more into generative. Okay? Just give it. You talk to it and then it generates what you want. So how do you know this is generative AI and this is not? Okay? As I told you, after this class, you will feel like you are miles ahead of people who usually say, this is AI. Okay? So how do you say how do you know if it is generative AI or not? For instance, let me ask. So we have Siri, okay? Or Google chatbot or chatbots. Okay. Is for those who use icons, or I think there's some other thing in Google fonts that works as Siri. Is Siri generative AI? Is this generative AI? Hi, Siri. Okay, can you tell me, is this generative AI or not? Just guess. For instance, if we are talking to a phone, right? If I say, hi Siri, call Venom. It does call Venom, right? I talked to it. Okay, can you guess, is this generative AI or not? So you see, it's not obvious. And out there, people think it's obvious. You can just say this is AI, this is not AI. But you can see that's not obvious, right? But actually, this is this generative AI? Well, okay, you can read that. So how do you tell that something is generative AI or not? Okay. The defaulting part, that is, it is AI, but it's not generative because as we've seen in the definition, it produces text message. You give it and it produces text. And so is this? So how do you know that something is generative AI? So it's generative AI when your output is, it's not generative AI when your output is a number, a class, for instance, spam or not spam. You know the emails, okay? There are some messages that are emails that are sent in your spam folder. That is AI. That is machine learning. Okay? But, and the way it works, you might think it's generative AI. How? If you don't know the definition of generative AI, because the way it works is basically looks into all the emails that you've been sent and all the emails that other people have received on the internet, maybe in Google, if you use Gmail, and then it learns patterns of those emails, and it says, yeah, in most cases, when someone sends, come see me now, it's probably a scam, and then it puts it in the spam folder because it has learned that in most cases when someone threatens you, that's not they want something, they want to scam you basically. So that's not a real email, but that's not generative AI. Okay. So once something you see is AI, but it generates a number, a category or class, a discrete value like 1, 2, 3, or something like a dog, a cat, something 1. Okay. Or probability. Probability, you say maybe 90% is some 80% chances that this thing is happening. That is AI, but that is not generative AI. So generative AI is when the output is a natural language. Okay. How you talk to it in English, it talks to you back in English. Okay. You ask it for an image, it gives you an image. Okay. Ask it for audio, it gives you an audio. Okay. Understood? Do we all now understand generative AI, the high level understanding of generative AI and how it relates to other different AI?
Yeah, we are almost there. We are almost there. But my question may be, where do we put calculator now? This scientific calculator. Because it seems, yeah. Okay, I will tell you the story of calculator later. Where do we put calculator?
Okay, what is the output of the calculator?
They are numbers.
Not generative AI.
But it's a part of artificial intelligence. This is what I wanted to make it.
Where
because scientific calculator, they do this costing something, those mathematics things.
No. Well,
some machine something.
Okay. Okay, let's get this straight, okay? Is a calculator, it depends, the scientific calculator, the physical scientific calculator, is it AI?
No. It's part of, is maybe in the discipline of machine learning.
Me, I think it's AI.
Yeah, it's part of the discipline.
Why?
Because AI is artificial intelligence. Calculator is a.
And there are some of the instructions, some of the things they inserted in the calculator.
I'm based on the name.
Yeah.
So he has mentioned is the keyword is they inserted. So from the definition of machine learning, we said the machine learns without being explicitly programmed. Okay, without being explicitly programmed to do that, right? So a calculator was programmed to do that, and nothing changes. If something changes, it malfunctions, right?
It will not work.
It will not work. It will give you a wrong. So it shows that it is not working. So according to the definition of machine learning, that scientific calculator is not AI. But there are other calculators which are AI.
Okay, maybe.
An example is I saw if you use an iPhone, iOS 18, I saw it in videos, I haven't seen it live, but they are launching an AI-based calculator. And how does it work is you just take a picture. Okay, you can, they're actually there. Maybe you take a picture, you have maybe a cosine problems and problems. You take a picture, you give it, just calculates. Okay. And so for it, it does not work as pre-programmed. It can change, it adapts, okay? If you give it a different format, it just lands out. For instance, you just give it notes. In my note, it changes them as it calculates as a calculator.
Actually, it's possible because I've been working with ChatGPT. Then they just take a picture of the question, an image, and then you ask to solve that question. Yeah, it will give you that. Maybe they are imitating how AI functions to revolutionize the calculator.
Exactly. So yeah. But fundamentally, those traditional calculators, they are not AI because they were explicitly programmed that, and they do not run new patterns. Okay. Someone had a question. You have a question.
Thank you very much. We are in a training class where we want to understand when it comes to issue of AI and other machine. But I think on the background of project management, experience of project management. So I wanted to know if there is any civil way to enhance AI when it comes to project planning into embrace management. Is there any specific way?
Yeah. So that is actually the purpose of this program. Okay. We are going to show you how there are tools we will use in project management. Okay. So we'll see from here. So we are talking about AI. So this is not a computer class. Okay. This is not a computer science class. It's a project management class. Okay. And why we are talking about this is we want to understand the high level part of AI. Okay. So that once we go into the details in project management, you will understand how everything works. But for sure, yeah, I will show you how AI works in particularly in project management. And that is the purpose of this course. And so we will use different tools, use the AI to perform project management tasks. Okay. Right. Okay. So we understand if something is AI or not, or generative AI or not. Okay. So we are finishing with this. Okay. So generative AI applications. So these are basically what we are used to. Okay. We have Copilot, we have ChatGPT. For instance, at work, like some have mentioned, if you use Microsoft, it has Copilot in it, and you can use Copilot. If you use tools, project management tools, for instance, like Jira, there is AI in Jira. Okay. If you use some other AI tool, some other tool, in most cases there are ways there is AI incorporated. However, even if you don't use those tools at work, for instance, you do not have Microsoft Teams, you don't have Jira or some other tools that help you. You can also, the way we do it, you just go to ChatGPT and it generates you a report. Okay. So for this class, we are going to finish here. Okay. And take a pause. Right. After the pause, we will have a small quiz. It's not graded, just to refreshen up. Then we go for lunch. And after lunch, we will now we will start to go into a bit of project management, but on how to use these tools. Now we've understood, I hope we've understood now how they work.
Yeah, I wanted to just give a small example on how to differentiate what is generative AI and what is not generative AI. If you take generative AI in simple English, it will generate, it will create something new. When an app doesn't create anything new, then that's not generative AI. If you take an example, ChatGPT will get the information it has learned over time and to create something. If you ask ChatGPT to generate an image of an African person, it's going to generate an image of an African person because they understand that African people are black, all that. Then when you search for on Google and look for an African person, it will give you an actual image of an African person. To not generate an image of an African person. It will link you to an image on Google that shows someone who is an African. That's the difference. That's why a criteria does not generate something new. It has everything inside. Now, when you give an instruction to ChatGPT to generate something, to create something, then that is generative AI.
Okay. Yeah, that is a good example of a Google search engine and ChatGPT. They are different.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay.
Maybe later.
Yeah, maybe later. So we are going, how many minutes should we take?
How can we trust what was generated by AI?
So, good question. How can we trust what was generated by AI?
Actually, before you go to AI, you have an idea of what you are looking for. Just a simple answer. No, at least there is a correlation between what you are looking for and what you have in the mind. Thank you. That's a simple answer. Others cannot supplement. Yeah. And again, you are the one to discriminate or maybe to choose really what you didn't want.
So sometimes you can search something that you don't even have an idea of, but you just have like references, like books, but you didn't read those books. But there is some prompt that you can put in AI that can generate at least, I don't know.
Okay. No, yesterday I was doing something on ChatGPT. Okay, I got information that the artificial intelligence can increase productivity by 25%, according to Harvard studies. And then I was happy. I wanted to post it on my WhatsApp. Then I said, if I post this information, I don't know where they are coming from. It's not good. Let me put it and then see if you give me the link, the reference. And it has done very well.
Yeah.
And I was able to go to the research.
Yeah.
And then I was able to bring that research.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's possible. Yeah.
But the worry is what's generated. How much did you trust there? Because sometimes it can be a book, but it can be something added to the book. So that is.
Now, the other time we were saying we should not allow AI to make a decision on our behalf. Sometimes we are, actually there is something I read. Okay, I read it from UK. That's a policy on AI. They are saying as much as we generate something from AI, we are responsible of what we are generating from AI. AI is not responsible of our work. We are the one responsible. If, for example, they were saying if you go there and then you get information, you put in your research, and if they say, "Well, it's a plagiarism," don't say it's AI. Yes, you are the one who is responsible. Make sure that you know the credible source of information. Yeah, thank you.
I wanted to add on what Jean-Paul just said. The thing is, I think it's something that you mentioned in the last training of AI. Like, AI will help you generate a document in 5 seconds. You're supposed to spend 30 seconds reviewing the document, making that everything is what it is supposed to be. If you submit it as it was generated, you're going to submit the last sentence that says, tell me if.
This one.
If you, would you like me to also mention?
That shows that it's ChatGPT that created it.
Yeah. Actually, for research and the other credible information, we need to be careful.
Okay. Those are interesting discussions, and that is exactly what we are going to be looking into. Actually, today, right? In the afternoon. So I'm going to just give you an example from your question. I've asked ChatGPT, in one word, what is the highest mountain? Just one word. Is this answer correct or wrong?
It's correct. It's correct. It's Everest
The highest mountain
in the world.
no, just
In the world.
The world.
one word, yeah.
Everest, yeah.
In the world, but you didn't mention that in the world, in the whole world.
Exactly. Yeah. What you want. So this is a very small example, but if you have a big document and you miss something, it's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
This is correct, but depends on the context.
Yeah.
For instance, if you add something, it will produce different results. Okay.
If you say in Africa, it produced different.
Yeah. So let's say in the universe, because there's some other high mountain.
No, it will produce the same.
You see, you know that mountain
No?
in the universe. It's not on planet Earth,
But
but it's the highest mountain in the universe. Olympus Mount. It's in. It's on which planet? I think on Pluto. Mars. Yeah, it's on Mars. Yeah. So it can give you completely different things. So this is a very small question, okay? You ask it. But even when you are working on some big project, you miss one key point and it completely misleads you.
yeah,
And gives you 20 pages to go back and read them and correct them. You feel like, why did I even use AI?
yeah.
I've wasted my time.
Yeah.
So the efficiency part of AI, we will see, because not always you need AI, okay?
Actually, the best output depends on the best input. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Strong.
Yeah. Okay, so we've understood how many minutes. 10. Let's take 15. People online, we will be back at 12:35. Yeah, you
Next time, why not putting a camera here? So that they can also see how the interaction moving. It's more better. Okay, they all see.
Oh, you're right. Please. I don't think so. Now, the other type of this one was it yes. Actually, this is the first time I have I'm going for work. Outside, like I said, I have to work with this. Just take your home. Yeah. Because I have to deal with this station. But it's very good. I appreciate it. It's something new. It's a discipline. It's not new, but it's offering. Master of now we are going. I don't know what reference is using for because I can have like 100 books. Thousands of books. I don't even have. I don't need the rent. Actually, if I go even to the rent, they are not recent books. They are not purchased in this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's making my work very easy. I suffer the road. You know, I used to rent. Oh, yes, there. What is up? Yes. What else? What else? Oh. What am I doing? Oh, this is a good line. Check it out. Yes, I was don't leave your eyes. But now I'm possible to lose us again. You probably see.
Yana çıkarsın inside. Very cool.
Welcome back, everyone. For people online, we are back. Okay, so as I mentioned, we are going to have some quiz. Just it's a refresher quiz. It will also help us. So I told you we'll be using three tools. The first one is Google Classroom. The second one is the one that we used when we were starting called Slido. The third one for quizzes is called Kahoot. Does anyone ever use Kahoot quizzes? Like that quizzes for Kahoot? No. Okay. I'm going to show you how. So, and you can use your phone, is fine, especially if you're online. It works better because the way it works is I give you a code just like the other one. I give you a game pin and it's timed.
It's like
it's timed, okay? And usually we record people who appear on the podium. So the top 3. We record them and we give them very small gifts later after the course, at the end of the course. So if you want some small gift, you can as well compete. And it depends on how fast you finish the quiz and the number of questions that you've done correctly. Okay. So for people online, don't worry, no pressure, right? So because I know it might not work as you wanted. Maybe it might be so fast because you're not used to it. So don't worry. Your question. So I've given every question 15 seconds. And they are very simple, just true or false. Okay. It's just to familiarize you with Kahoot.
It's called
Okay. Kahoot. Okay, I'm going to share it. So it's basically Kahoot.it. Use this website. Or go to Google and search Kahoot. Can go to Google and Google. Yeah. Okay. And search Kahoot. Yeah. So they require you a pin, and I'll show you the game pin, and it shows on your screen. So if you're online and you're using your screen, please use your phone. It will be easy because switching from the screen to another tab, for instance, if the question appears here, you will see it here. Then going to another tab and answering, it will take you time. So you can use your phone. If you're online, for us here, you can still use your computer because you'll be seeing it on the screen. Okay? I'm going to give you the game pin. Okay. Here we go. I'm launching this. So it's generating the game pin. So it's www.kahoot.it. So the game pin is here. So please join as fast as possible. Or you can just simply scan that QR code. Yeah, please, again, you can create a nickname. So this is for fun, right? And if you call yourself Anonymous K, it's fine. We will if you win, we will ask who Anonymous K was. But use this pin use that same nickname for all quizzes. But this is for fun. You shouldn't complicate it, just do it. Kiki, Sylvie, Kiki. So we are 23 people. Okay. Once you've joined, you should see your name here, your nickname.
Oh, we choose the nickname, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are the one to see.
No, you can. I've
Even us, you
presented
can see.
here. You can see there.
No, I'm saying in our. Are we able to see it?
No.
Okay.
It's me to see, but but it shows that you're
Is
in.
that the quiz?
I'm going to present it after everyone enters. Okay? So everyone here in the room, everyone is there, right? If online, has everyone joined? Can you see that you're in and you can see your So once I launch, there are simple questions and very short. So you won't need to take a lot of time reading, okay? I'm launching the quiz, right?
No, we need to make sure that we are there. Because so that they are not disadvantaged. They can bring excuse. Yeah, let them be there. So that when we yes.
Okay, we are now 31. Has anyone not joined yet? Okay. Let's not keep others stranded this time.
I think maybe for the first question, you can explain to us how it works, because Kahoot is different from other platforms like Mentimeter. Because for Kahoot, you have to see the question there and select the answer on your laptop.
Yeah.
So we check the question.
Yes.
You check there. That's why I told people online, please use your phone. It's easier. Otherwise, you have to switch tabs and it wastes your time.
There's what you see.
So you have to see the question there, and then on your screen, you get answer options. Then you choose the answer. So if you see that the correct answer is in red, choose the red button, right? If let's say it's true or false, and you want to answer true, and true is marked red, just click red on your screen. Okay, I'll show you. Let's go, okay? Here we go. You should see colors on your screen.
What is generative AI?
So choose.
Just choose the color.
Yeah. Right.
The colors.
I was not finished.
Okay, before we move to the next question, have you seen how it works?
Yes.
Have you seen?
Yes.
Okay, now you see. If you think this was correct, the correct answer, you should have chosen red. If you think this is the correct answer, you choose blue. If you think, because you can see there are different colors, right?
Yeah.
If you think this is correct, choose yellow. And then, so you can see the correct answer is this one. Okay. Let's see the scoreboard. Number one, Mure.
And you are given a second. 20 seconds to answer. Then yes, follow the color.
Some people have crammed something, yeah?
What is the right? Correct.
The genius.
Look.
Yes, correct. People say no.
They don't know what they are talking about. That is what we are doing every day. It can be my perfect life.
But sometimes we have a comment on this question. There is no.
Yeah, this is okay. Yeah, it's opinion. It's seniors.
That's the class.
Oh, but really, who's that Nash? Who's that Nash?
Could be online. Yeah. You know, it's funny because every time we are here and enjoying the class, but people line out performance on that quiz. Okay. So you can see the podium has Benjamin, Masai, and Ash. Yeah, but it was so easy. So
Yeah, so is but two people.
So going forward, we'll be using this system, okay? For quizzes, serious quizzes.
You get to adapt.
We have 10 minutes, okay? So we have set a few questions, okay? I intentionally asked you the questions. For instance, can AI be your project management guide? Two people say
No, it can be. Actually now, if you design your AI specifically for that project, it will be a guide.
No, sometimes
Specifically, you design not maybe different. If you design it for it can be a guide. For example, there is one we developed for teachers. To develop the lesson plans. And it can help teachers to develop lesson plans in 5 minutes or 5 or 3 minutes. They have their lesson plan. They have just to enter data and then the type of the lesson, and then we generate the lesson plan without them suffering blue line, what can give them the lesson, and then they can go and teach.
nice. Yeah.
Okay, they can do some modification if they want, or yeah.
Correct. So now we are going to start bringing up project management vibes, okay? So let's start to talk about project management. Now the AI machine learning thingy is done, okay. Does anyone else think that AI can be their project management guide? Can. It should. Someone says it should. Yeah. If you want to be efficient, yeah.
But the guide does not necessarily mean it's a lead. It's just a guide.
Yeah.
Not a lead.
Correct.
Yeah, to me, this is how I understand. It's not a lead, but a guide.
Also, I asked a question about a prompt. Can someone tell us what they think a prompt is?
prompt is a question that you ask for AI generate exactly the high probability answer to that question. I can say 100%, but it's like the way you can ask AI so that it can understand what you're asking, because all questions are not the question for AI, because AI is not like human, have a language. So that language, you have to understand that prompt, the way you can ask so that it can understand the question. Because sometimes you can ask and it give you hallucination, give you the wrong answer because of bad question.
Yeah.
Prompting, I think prompting is more of a way to have a conversation with AI. The way you talk to AI for it to give you the best answer that it can give. you can, I think everyone can text any statement in AI, and AI will always give you an answer. To never say that it doesn't know, but how you talk to it determines how good the content it gives you.
It can be a question, it can be a statement, it can be something, any task you want to perform.
So as we saw in that prompt, okay, the other one that I showed you of the highest mountain, okay, sometimes you tell it, help me refine this email. That is a very good example of what is the highest mountain, right? Once you usually write it, okay, maybe let me show you an example, okay. Dear, maybe Kelvin, I trust you well. Please find that first document. Highlighting this. So usually at work, this, you know, you're lazy or you're tired. Key points from the meeting. Right. One. Template. Two. Three. Plan. Okay, and on boarding. So let's see, maybe this is an email, okay? You want to be efficient, right? It has taken me like a minute maybe, okay? And it's not perfect. And you come here, you say, help correct this email. First of all, is this a good prompt or not? What do you think? Help correct this email.
Yes, that's an event.
Let's see.
Yeah, it will correct.
That is not.
It will give.
I hope you're well attached. So basically it has so it just corrected these mistakes, and also I abbreviated this, right? So this is a very short email, and there is no there are no many details, right? Where it needs to think. It's just corrected the grammatical errors, right?
Sometimes you can even say correct and elaborate. If you give one.
So usually the more content you have, the more you need to understand how to talk to it, right? And sometimes if you do not do that, it will mislead you. So in the afternoon, after I think lunch is 1, right? Okay. So we are going to have a lunch break, a 1-hour lunch break from oh, it's usually from 1. Yes. Yeah, sorry, I thought it's from 12. That's why I was okay, no worries. I thought it was from 12. So we are going to see. So I had planned to do the prompting in the afternoon, but before in this hour, we are going to see how AI can help us in project management, right? So people from online, can you hear us well? Okay, they can. Correct. So now we are going to have an open conversation about project management. Right?
Some people don't have accounts in ChatGPT, so I think we start with that. Yeah. We will go step.
Oh,
Yeah.
they can even create.
But the results correct.
Yeah, so yeah, fine, it's fine. So in the meantime, maybe the facilitators can help them create an account, but that's for preparation for afternoon class. We are not into prompting right now, okay? Instead, we are going to have conversation about project management.
Oh, okay, I will tell you.
Okay. So we are going to, we'll do the prompting exercises in the afternoon. Okay? You can even create the accounts later in the afternoon so that we all be on the same page. Okay. Okay. So now back to the main topic of what brought us this training. Okay. AI for project management. So let's all be on the same page. If you're trying to create an account, we'll have time for that in the afternoon, right? Yeah. So instead, let's have a conversation about project management and efficiency in project management. So first of all, we are going to it's going to be a conversation, okay? We are going to talk about what challenges that we have in the processes, okay? Okay. So we are going to have, so I'll be calling on someone, okay? Even people online, you will participate. I'll be calling on someone and they will tell us in brief what they do at work and what challenges they have, right? They usually have in terms of efficiency, especially, you know, at work. So if you do something for 10 hours, but now you need to do it for like 5 hours, or let's say 2 hours, what is that thing, okay? Because at the end of the day, time is money, right? So can someone voluntarily maybe start?
Like,
Maybe
I didn't get what the question.
Okay, I was saying, I was saying we are going to have a conversation about project management, right? Because so one of the things, or the most important thing or reason that we are here is want at the end of the day to make our workflows more efficient, right? At work. So for that to happen, we need to understand what our pain points are, right? So for instance, if I work as maybe a monitoring and evaluation expert or coordinator officer, right? So what challenges do I face at work? What particular task do I wish it could be done faster, but usually takes a lot of time? For instance, maybe we have work templates. How long does it take you to fill the templates, right? How long does it take you to collect, to compile the data maybe from your field work or whatever, depending on what I understand we have different backgrounds, right? Someone might work on social projects, others might work on civil engineering projects, others might work on different. So that's why I need to understand different sectors so that we eventually find that there are common problems that we face, and we help address at the end of the training. We help address all those pain points. I'm going to ask some volunteers begin and they tell us about what they do at work and maybe what they want out of this program and what pain points that they have at their work.
Let me start.
Okay, just start.
I'm a senior analyst. I was thinking about
Speak louder.
So I'm still struggling. I just wanted to see. I'm a senior analyst where I work. So I just want to, that we have two parts of analysis. There is a qualitative and a quantitative. But part of qualitative analysis, because I saw that I'm expecting two things. Let me say it clear. So I just want to know if is there any way that AI can facilitate to transcribe the audio record that was collected on the field to be transcribed on the documents first. That is if I get that one, it will be good for me. So the second one, because I'm still struggling. I'm not talking about English, I'm talking about the interview collected in Rwanda. Because if it's English, it's another story. So, but that we are doing it in a local community.
Yeah.
So I want just to know that. So the second thing is about the the analysis of those transcribed documents. There is a way AI can facilitate. Sometimes we use this tables, use this atlas for those that don't know those kind of analysis. So I just want to know if there is any way that can facilitate AI to know the problem, not bring the mistake. So that is the second point. The third one is the way I can plan my log frame, or I can know that this is my I expecting this output, but to know that AI that can be the way that I'm working in the project. AI show me where I just complete my work, like automation. I don't know if where in my laptop I know that this one is already done. So I'm expecting that this week I'm going to work on this, so that can remind in my Gantt chart, so that I can put my Gantt chart in there, so that I can generate the output through those inputs that I give to them. So thank you. That is the only three things that I'm expecting.
Only. Okay, someone else. Yeah, that is the way we want it to be that.
Okay,
Someone else.
Okay, I work with content and training. I normally coordinate different content development and training. That is my position. I want I've been using AI maybe to work on the content, generating reports and the slides, something like that. But I want more to know about how we can design a research questionnaire using AI.
Yes.
And again, maybe how to design a report. Is there an AI that maybe I've finished my report?
Yeah.
Which AI can design my report and organize it in a presentable way, so that I don't spend much time in using Canvas and all those things designing my report. And again, The last one is on the audio you said it because we are using different languages and we have to translate when we want to use the content from English to Rwanda, from English to French, like that. Is there maybe an AI that can do the audio directly to that specific or target language? And then lastly is on translation. Okay, do we have an AI that is really credible for translation of content? If I have my content in English and I need it maybe in French, how do I go with or which is credible AI that can do it very fast and without disturbing my format? Without disturbing my format of content. Thank you very much. Yeah.
People from online.
I think I can go. All right. So my name is Shema, and I work at iDebate, and I'm a debate program manager. Now, in my work, there's a bunch of things that I feel I need. First of all, my work is like very repetitive, so there's a bunch of tasks that are repetitive. So one of the things I'm looking for is in terms of how can I make sure that all of these things are automated. I don't need to always do that because I spent much time on it when it things that can be automated. Secondly, my work involves a lot of pre-assessment, mid-cycle assessments, and post-assessments, as well as curriculum development. Now, one of the things then that would make my work much more efficient is to have something that is able to analyze these assessments, point out certain gaps in the curriculum, things that we can change, and things like that. So that is two. Number three, there's also the area of we organize a bunch of debate events, and I would love for my reports. It is good to know the kind of trends that we're noticing at our debate events in terms of participation on different, let's say, on different types of people that are attending, whether by gender, whether by type of school, whether by origin. So in terms of reporting, that would be a good way to sort of like provide real insights that can really help in decision making. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think he was talking about analyzing assessment and creating reports for different stakeholders, maybe people from different origins.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you here.
I was basically repeating what I heard. So just in case I missed something, they can correct me.
I also mentioned automating like repetitive tasks, certain things that can be
automating
repetitive tasks.
Oh, okay. Can you please tell us some of the tasks that you would love to be automated?
All right. So, for example, depending on engagement from a particular debate club, there is a bunch of, let's say, emails and SMSs that need to go to that particular debate club, depending on how much they are engaging. Right. So that is a very repetitive thing, and we do it for multiple debate clubs. So having a sort of system that would be able to send out those communications depending on engagement automatically without having to do it manually would be a very good. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Yeah. So it's around.
Did you catch that?
Yeah. So it's around getting manual work and then avoiding repetitive tasks.
Yeah.
In such a way that you don't need to, do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, because it takes quite a lot of time.
So that's, workflow automation. Okay. Anyone else?
Yes.
Is here. No, it's there. No, there.
These calls. Sometimes use AI, but sometimes I think maybe the level we are using is still sometimes I may use best levels. Just I want to hear from the team of the trainers, like what are the good critical levels charts? Because there's also a wide range. What are the best for which activities? But from there, I know some they are paid. Sometimes, maybe what are the best, which one can I trust? Once I'm paying, more for proposal, right?
Writing.
The presentation PPT, like if you have a proposal up to go to present for the donors, just how can I make it really very attractive and short, summarizing the key elements. Every possible some analysis.
Yeah. Yes.
For me, I'm more as a research assistant, and the majority of my concern are already addressed there. But for me, in our organization, we use Monday.com, and that's so we don't use it as we can because we don't know how to deal with that. So we use we're still using Excel. So I would like to know how I can use Monday.com in my office because as they say that is a very best tool that we can use when we are doing project management, and so I would like to know more about that. And yes, that's my concern.
Yeah, sure. And Monday is one of the tools that we will cover.
Was many here. And I use the AI. That's the first very conscious analysis of the language. Later, where I work, but as long as I have more data or the data set on this, any investor becomes very problematic. The same as to someone said there in the writing reports or making a very exciting PowerPoints. It's also another case for me because mining is a very huge industry. I need to know the specific concerns. I try to invest so that I can get enough money to invest in the operations. The third is also about the writing, the research. That's for example, like this. That's one thing. So where I needed the English itself, that's one thing my.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm running a new learning platform to learn how I can automate communication projects with users, and then especially on the sales, like trying to maybe automate sales or give an opportunity to create like an age sales agent, or probably looking at
like some of the users might go to learning and then they start on 50%. So how can I use AI in tracking those ones, like motivating them to move towards 100%?
So you would love to have some AI agent that just runs through the cells and then, oh, interesting. Okay. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, yeah. That's the same for prayers. For example, if there is some propagation by the data, and this will have a voice. We should read the law and adjust to the current concept. It's possible that AI can us to review those full documents and give us where there is some gap bias figure to the text and the that is
Good.
second is directed for the management. Okay, yeah, but you need to create to
Prioritize everything.
how the portfolio manage for the risk attached to the portfolio and that the gatekeepers of the high productive. This is because the AI in the past to get that assessment for data analysis and put the picture and provide some measures for protecting that past protect the body.
Mm. Mm. Mhm. Someone else is an interesting point. Someone from online. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Thank you. Working in the national organization, IDBO. It's true, also people can be, it's because they have an idea of what AI can help them to do different or various area of work. My question, my suggestion is for people who are working on projects or programs like myself, we know a project has many stages, cycles, and we believe AI can help at any stage, in planning, implementation, monitoring, even we can go for use it on sustainability or storytelling, especially for donor-funded projects. But my big challenge is, how can I know those good tools? How can I have someone to train me or to train my team on those tools? Because otherwise, we know AI is applicable in almost everything that we work. So I remember back in school, we're searching on Google, using Google, until professors came to say, you people, when you are looking for academic article, good ones, you don't use Google search, you use Google Scholars. And when we go in Google Scholars, we realize those some articles are accessible, freely accessible, and then others we have to pay. So my expectation is actually to help me know those tools, many of the tools that I can use in project management, and then also, because I believe these 6 days may not be necessarily enough to get everything, maybe how can we design a follow-up maybe session, training sessions, or even organizations that need to not only train me or someone else here, but also a team at work.
Yeah, I think Benon and you can work with you. They were saying so basically they would love to have a follow-up. So maybe someone is here and they work at some organization. So you can work together to arrange some in-house trainings for everything that we'll be covering here. Yeah, for sure, that is something possible through Ben.
But there is another point that I understand through that what he is talking about. It's just, as you know, for project management, it's a cycle.
Yeah.
In every stage, why don't you just show us the tools that can be, all tools that needed in every stage, the one that you can get for free, the other that you can get after paying, just so that we know, even though we don't go through all those tools, but we understand that this is the gap that we have. If you need something like this, you have to go through this.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, I think we've had some qualitative data collection. Okay, maybe we can use AI to create some themes and codes for this and analyze for us, right? And we see what are the most, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so these are very good points. So the reason I asked this is, in most cases, you can see there are patterns, okay? They're repeating. So first of all, we can see we need, as project managers, we need to automate tasks. So we need to have tools. So someone mentioned Mandi.com, and Mandi.com is a very good tool. And that is something for sure that we will cover. We will go into the details of how to use it and some other tools. And also, one thing I've also seen, we also want to know which tool can I use here. That's something we will also cover, especially the post. So when we say about the AI or even in anything, where someone can sell you something, but then when you go into the details, you find maybe you will use it for just 3 months, and after that, you will not afford it, right? So we'll see what tools we can use, or even if you need the tools. And one thing that I know is, well, maybe some people won't like it, but it's not that we do not always need AI for everything, right? So you can do assessment and see, because sometimes AI can waste your time or even resources. And once you do a cost-benefit analysis, you see that it is costing more than it is benefiting for the company. So we'll do such assessments, right? But for sure, we'll do that on project level. For instance, PPTs, that's something that we'll cover, how to prepare PPTs, how to, we're creating and analyzing data sets, right? In mining. So in creating, I'm not sure what creating data sets mean, but for analyzing data sets, there are a lot of tools, right? And that's a good point, because I had not thought of that. And there are very good tools that you can use to analyze data set and give you context of your data. So we've also seen portfolio management. This is a tricky one because, well, there are tools, the AI tools, but well, as you saw the test, you saw that on the quiz, AI, or as we've learned, AI is not accurate, and we always have to be responsible for what AI gives us. So when we go into things like portfolio management, it becomes a bit more tricky, right? But of course, you can understand how things work. But for me, advisory with portfolio management, we'll see what we can provide. So basically, in project management, we will see on the life cycle of a project, right, from inception, even execution to impact assessment, right? which tools. So there are reports that need to be created, and for sure we'll see all that, right? But of course, it's not that we will do everyone individually, right? We will see common things. It's not like we are promising that everything 100%, because AI cannot address everything. And to be honest, in some, for instance, even in development, you see, maybe my brother mentioned an AI agent. In some cases, you can, well, do an AI agent, but once you go into the needs of AI agents and development, eventually, sometimes you see that you do not need an AI. I'm not saying you do not need one, but I'm saying in some cases, you do the cost-benefit analysis and you see, well, maybe there could be some other right ways other than using some tool. But we'll do that, we'll do the general, we have the general idea of that, and you can go pick one of the tools that you see. So we cannot cover all AI tools, even large language models like ChatGPT. There are so many depending on application. So go to tools like Monday. There are other so many in project management, which I'd be lying if I said I know. Right? But they all basically work because they have the same architecture. It's only that one is used in this and the other one in that. Yeah. Thank you very much for this input.
Just an observation. An observation, yeah. Yes. It's general. It's in general, not focusing on what you are saying. Yeah. The way I've seen AI is coming is a master trend, and it's just appearing at the market. Sometimes it's going to create a kind of confusion. Which AI am I supposed to use? Again, maybe we need to be careful in the future and then maybe select key AIs that we need in our profession. Not everything needs an AI, but we need maybe to specifically select carefully. Because they will be there, there will be very many, but we need also to be much aware of how we select the tools we use.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. Yeah, so
I think on that point, recently I had that experience. I was working on a document and I used ChatGPT to create a draft for it. And it was giving me things that I don't want. It was giving me things that aren't really going for the point that I'm trying to make. I tried to prompt like 5 times. I realized it's wasting my time. And I went raw and typed the document myself, and it was a lot more quicker. So sometimes there are things that you realize that you don't need AI or ChatGPT in particular to work on. You are better at it than ChatGPT in that capacity.
And again, something I can add on that. If you are a project manager and then you go and generate something that's from AI, and then you present in a meeting, and then they say, now this man is always just generating AI. You are losing your credibility, and image is tarnished for a simple thing that you can sit and do. AI can do this, but make sure maybe to refine what you have done, not to create, because it's not, there's something I was reading, AI will not know your context or your organization. If now you stick to AI to generate all the information, maybe someone who will be reading your information will just interpret you as a lazy person, or maybe a careless person who is just downloading and then putting it. Thank you. Yeah.
So sometimes those things happen. There is a specific AI to the specific field that we're working on, so that they can even correct you more than even the way you are doing. But it's better to always read and analyze what AI giving you. Not just take it and just send it without even analyzing it, just go through it again. So, and also we have to know that there is so many AI, so many, so many. You have to know. So that's why I'm here. I want just to know which ones to use in project management.
Yeah, that's true, because even in some, it depends on also on the policies of the company, right? So sometimes there are companies where they're okay with using Copilot, but once they know that you've got it from some other and you make a mistake, so when you've not done a mistake, that's fine. But once something happens and they see you use some other AIs, that will be a problem. So it depends. It's more of context than just generalizing.
Yeah, the other time I was discussing with my boss, he was just forcing me to use AI. I was resistant to some extent. Now I was saying, now you are telling me to use AI for most of the activities. If something happened to me, I'm tarnishing my image, including the organization. We need to be careful for us who are generating content. We need to have evidence or maybe citations or references of where you got those information. Imagine you have packed a book and then all the whole chapter is from ChatGPT. And then you go and you present and say, now this is the project. You are tarnishing the image, you and the organization. We need to be careful what we are doing. And again, for students who are doing research, like maybe master's, PhD, they can use AI, but they can also add their inputs to some of the things. Don't copy and paste something. Just paraphrase and do these things, maybe in your way, but don't just copy and paste. Sometimes you go to the defense, now they tell you all is fragilized, and then you are sent back. And you have wasted for them 1 year preparing that thing, and then if they put in 100% is copied. You see, and you are rejected. So sometimes we need to be careful where to use and not to use. Right?
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so thank you for that insightful conversations, right? So you can see, even at the, so I'm actually, I would say, impressed, even surprised, because the conversations that we are having on the first day, we used to have them on the last day. Because that's where people start, people started to know what AI is. People started to see what AI can do. Now with this class, everyone knows what it actually can do. They just need the resources, right? Yeah, this is an interesting observation. But that's really nice. It will help us, I think, even cover a lot of things. So there are things that I thought we would cover, but now I can see everyone knows them. It's only that the tools, right? Yeah, so we are going to have the break, okay, 20 minutes before. So that means we will try to also come a bit earlier, right? So the break is supposed to be 1 hour, I think, right, Benon?
Yes.
1 hour.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are going to go at 12:40 so that we come back at 20 minutes to 2. Okay.
We have to digest.
Yeah.
But the work will help us digest. We will have a few practicals with prompting and learning how to do a prompt. We'll work on a small project in groups on how to create very good prompts. Okay, for people online, we are going to have a lunch break at exactly 12:40, and we'll come back at 1:40. Okay, thank you.
A quick communication. A quick communication. Like you can leave your stuff here. It's safe. So feel free to leave it, or if you want to go with it, it's okay. Just know that it's safe to leave it here.